been to the movies a lot over the last week, and I've got some quick reviews for you. All right, my friends, I'm deep into Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I'll have a review of that for you very soon. But I've been invited to a bunch of movie screenings over the last week, so I thought I'd put together some quick reviews for you. Let's start with Steven Soderbergh's Black Bag, which stars Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, who play a married couple who also happen to be these elite British spies. And they're part of this agency, which is also home to some of the best actors in Hollywood. Pierce Brosnan is in here as this grizzled veteran spy. We also have Naomie Harris, Tom Burke, who was awesome in Furiosa, and Regé-Jean Page is in this as well. And everybody is on their A game. Soderbergh knows how to get great performances out of his actors. And of course, everybody is a spy or tangentially associated with these spies. And so there's a lot that they can't say to each other. There's a lot bottled up. But they're trying to get on with their lives and have real relationships and express themselves in an honest way, but they can't. And so we see the internal battles that these actors and these characters have, and it's really well crafted. This is a gorgeous looking movie as well. The cinematography is incredible, and it doesn't have a whole bunch of locations. Don't mistake this for like a James Bond globe-trotting movie at all. It's much more about the internal mechanisms of trying to keep stories straight, how they can prey on your psyche. And there is a psychologist in this movie played by Naomie Harris, who's terrific. And it really kind of shows how this kind of living can devastate your humanness. And I think that's what they were trying to craft with this. Great script by David Koepp. Love the music in this as well. I think the only thing that I wanted out of this is just maybe a little more location, more get out into the world a little bit more. There's a lot of discussion around the agency's surveillance of people, and there's some high stakes being played out in the background, but we don't really get to see that world too much. It's really contained to just a few locations, which are all beautiful and shot well, and there's just a lot of intrigue. Honestly, it's a little bit like Soderbergh has a stab at a Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy kind of vibe, and with unbelievable performances, like really good actors. I guess I just wanted more. I mean, I really liked it. I just wanted more out of Black Bag. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I also saw Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17, which stars Robert Pattinson in the lead, and man, is he proving himself to be an incredible actor with such unbelievable range. He plays a couple of different characters in this movie because the big conceit is that he can be reprinted. His memories are stored, and he comes out as a brand new version of himself, tasked to do all of these incredibly dangerous things. It's a sci-fi movie, and there's some wacky satire and commentary as well. Mark Ruffalo plays this very Elon Musk-like figurehead who is convinced that humanity's future is to go off-world, and so he collects a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of followers, and he puts them on this spaceship, and they go to a different planet, and along the way there are all of these hazardous things that Robert Pattinson's character is tasked to do, and inevitably he dies, but he comes back again with new shades of himself. And Mark Ruffalo's character is kind of hallucinating with his own genius, and he's got a bunch of sycophants all around him, including his wife, played by Toni Collette. And so there's some really great, quirky performances in here. Yeun is a standout as a buddy of Mickey's, and they get embroiled in some really interesting subplots as well. I really enjoyed myself with this movie. It's very weird. It has shades of Verhoeven's Starship Troopers. I certainly could see a little Mars Attacks in this, and a little bit of Fifth Element. It's loopy. There's a Terry Gilliam kind of zaniness happening throughout this movie as well. And I thought the effects were actually really incredible, and it really struck me that we've hit this era where anything is achievable no matter what the scale of budget. And presumably this had a fairly large budget, but it's also not it's not Star Wars, it's kind of a twisted tale to sell to people. But I was really along for the ride. I thought everybody delivered in their performances, and I didn't know what was going to happen next. And there's some nice sort of heightened drama as these characters encounter things they aren't expecting, and Pattinson really blew me away. He's such a terrific actor, and he's so fun to watch. I definitely recommend Mickey 17. Get out to the theaters and check this one out. I think it's going to be one of those cult movies that people think back on with much fondness. I know I will. It's in great company with all kinds of loopy sci-fi stuff that I dig. I mean, you can even throw Brazil into that mix. Very cool movie. I'm going to give Mickey 17 a 9 out of 10. Another sci-fi flick I've just seen is The Electric State, and this one stars Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown, as well as Stanley Tucci. Anthony Mackie voices one of the characters in this movie, and we've got other big actors. Ke Huy Quan plays a very cool character in this movie as well. Woody Harrelson is in this, Coleman Domingo, all kinds of really big-name actors, and it's because it's directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, the Russo brothers, who have brought us some epic Marvel movies in the past, and you can tell that they had a tremendous amount of leeway and budget to make this movie. It really does look cool. This is a movie where there's a robot versus human war. The robots have integrated into human. It's like an alternate reality where robots and humans have coexisted for a long time, but the robots rise up in a rebellion and there's this big war, and that's all sort of the backstory. And so the movie is set after the war, where the robots have been relegated to a specific space, and Millie Bobby Brown's got this incredibly intelligent brother who she wants to reunite with. And so there's this kind of road picture quality where there's a little bit of traveling and a lot of adventure and a lot of incredibly expensive looking visual effects. The movie's got a nice Amblin kind of glow to it as well. You can certainly feel echoes of the Spielberg, Robert Zemeckis 80s kind of vibe on the film, even though the movie's set in the 90s. And there's some nice use of music throughout this film as well. Performances are all right. I felt like the script was not as up to task as the visuals allowed for. And it's based on an acclaimed graphic novel by the same name from a Swedish artist named Simon Stålenhag. I haven't read it, but I'm definitely going to, because the movie kind of piqued my interest and I want to see more of this universe. And what I've read is that people that love the graphic novel aren't super enthused by the trailers and the visuals of this movie. And it does hang a little thin. It isn't as big and as epic and as fulfilling as, say, Avengers Endgame or Avengers Infinity War or Captain America Winter Soldier. The Russo brothers have really provided some stellar entertainment for us in the past. And I love The Gray Man, by the way. I know not everybody dug that movie, but I love that movie. And so I was in for this. I did enjoy a lot of elements of this, and it certainly has some nice moments of laughter and levity. And I think Chris Pratt is really solid. And I think Millie Bobby Brown, she's what, 21 years old? She's got so much experience, and she's so freaking talented. You can just see the maturity in this human. Like, she is so solid. She's just going to keep growing and growing and just become this massive force as an artist, as an actor out there. And you can see that, you know? She's really holding her own, especially next to Chris Pratt, who and now is this grizzled veteran who's been in a ton of stuff. And he's having fun with this. Stanley Tucci is a blast in this movie as well. He's always so freaking good. You know, I enjoyed this movie. It's not going to set the world on fire by any means, but I think it's definitely worth a watch. It's hitting Netflix, I think, tomorrow as I'm recording this and putting this together. So check it out if you got a Netflix account, which is almost everybody at this point. I thought it was pretty good. I'm going to give The Electric State the 7 out of 10. All right, and the other movie that I saw this week is Novocaine, starring Jack Quaid and Amber Midthunder, and Jacob Batalon from the Spider-Man movies is in there, as well as Jack Nicholson's son, Ray Nicholson, who I haven't seen before. And man, that guy commands the screen. He's very solid in this. The whole premise behind this movie is that Jack Quaid plays this character who can't feel pain. And there is this terrible calamity that happens at his place of business, and he gets caught up in this crazy amount of violence in the movie, and most of it directed at him. So he is shot at and stabbed, and he gets into all of these terrible fights. He really gets the crap beat out of him. And I was really shocked by how fun this was, but I have to admit, it's so gruesome. There's so much body horror that happens in this movie. I was looking at it through my fingers like this, and I was smiling and laughing and very charmed by Jack Quaid, who I love on The Boys. I think the guy is very, very good, very charming, very fun to watch. And Amber Midthunder is great. They play this burgeoning couple that is starting to create a relationship together, and it felt fun. fun and a little effervescent. I thought, there was some believability and some lightness and some joy in that as well. I was just really surprised how much this movie entertained me. I thought it looked thin by its premise, and I thought it was kind of trading on the fact that these stars are kind of rising right now. It felt a little like straight to DVD, honestly, when I saw some of the trailer stuff. And it definitely evokes action movies from a different era. It certainly felt like an 80s or 90s movie. They don't really make movies that are this sort of action comedy. There's just a lot of just nasty violence and some over-the-top dialogue, and the movie definitely does ask you to suspend your disbelief. There's some pretty far-fetched things that happen in this thing. But it's fun. I had a good time. I was laughing, and I was squirming, and I was smiling through the whole damn thing. Novocaine is definitely one to go and check out, provided you're not too grossed out by, Final Destination type body horror stuff. I mean, it's not a David Cronenberg movie, but it's pretty gross. There's some stuff in there that's pretty damn gross. But God, I really enjoyed it. Novocaine's a blast. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. All right, there you go, guys. 4 movies that I think are definitely worth your time. Maybe you don't have to rush to see The Electric State, but the other ones are all really damn good. And the other thing that I appreciated, too, was just getting out of my my pod here, my game reviewing pod, and getting to the theaters again. I just feel like it's really fun and really valuable to go and share these experiences. So get out to the theaters, check some of these out. Let me know what you think of these movies in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you soon. Thank you for supporting EP. And until then, play forever.